Editing a video, you either love it or you hate it. There's no in between. But if you love it, you're definitely gonna love these tips that I'm gonna give you for making your first ever video. The start can be difficult when you don't know all the program, and I'm gonna help you with that in Premiere Pro today. And no more talking, let's just get to it. So I got my editing headset on, let's get to editing. So when you get into Premiere Pro, you see this, and I'll give you a really fast basic breakdown. So these are all windows. Let's start with the timeline. This is a window, and I can put it literally wherever I want. Like I can put it on the left side, and this is now my timeline. So let's start by actually making a timeline, and for that you have to go to File, New, and right here click on Sequence. And this is essentially like your camera settings. So I got Blackmagic Ultra, Blackmagic Pocket 4K, Ultra HD 24 FPS. And these are all the settings for that camera. It's just a preset that I have. I won't go over like all the technicalities and all the basics of Premiere Pro. I'm assuming that if you watch this tutorial, you already know a little bit about it. So before you actually start editing, you need to look at your files. And my first tip to give you is really organize your files. I will show you how I did mine. Right here I have all my files. So what's important for you right now is RAW files, music sound effects, and I think you can figure out what the rest stands for. My RAW files are ordered in the camera that I shoot with. So first of all is my Blackmagic camera, and second of all is my Lumix camera, and sometimes I have some drone footage or some footage from my phone. The music and sound effects that you use in your videos are also really important, but now let's get to editing. So let's start with dropping in your A-roll. And some things I like to do with my A-roll is something in the audio, and that's literally just putting this volume to 12. And one thing I would recommend you is having different tracks for different things. So A-roll, and 2 steps above it I have my B-roll, and like 1 or 2 steps above it I have my overlays and texts and everything. But yeah, I'll put the music in after I edit the A-roll. I'm not done yet with the B-roll, but important things for me in the B-roll, cutting out the really big gaps where I'm just thinking about what to say and how to formulate it. And sometimes I leave an in, or when I have like a little break, like this. I just leave that in because it sounds natural, but it's important to give your viewers a little bit of breathing room. Like just let them realize or take in what just happened in your video, and don't just go to the next chapter really fast. Like leave some breathing room. These silent moments give your viewers like a little bit to think for themselves. Like create their own opinion about your video and have their own thoughts about what you're saying. Okay, so my B-roll is edited. So now you have a choice, like what kind of pattern are you going to follow while editing? I have a little bit of a mix because some people like to do A-roll, B-roll, overlays, text, and maybe music at the end. I just do A-roll, music, and go from left to right. For me, that's just the natural way to do it. I can just see what the viewer is seeing at the same time. Some quick tips for splitting and cutting your video. Set your splitting tool, like the razor tool is C on Premiere Pro, but set it on a button on your keyboard and you'll be much faster. For me that's Z, and I'll just press it, like press Z. And right here I got it cut on exactly where my pointer is on the timeline. So let's say I want to get rid of this piece like next to my pointer. What can I do? Most people just press Z or cut with the razor tool and then delete it. One step further is cut it with Z, and I got the delete thing. I got that on X, so it's right next to Z, and I'll just press X. But what you can do is use the ripple trim or however it's called, but it's essentially it's Q and E. Q just gets rid of the left side. I'm sorry, I meant Q and W. And W will just get rid of the end. So W, and it will come back. So put your split tool on a button, so I got it on Z. And just like that, you can use Q, E, and Z to just scroll through the timeline and edit really fast. Okay, so you got your A-roll, let's go to the B-roll. So the way I get my B-roll from the project panel to the timeline is not just dragging it onto the timeline, but I'm gonna show you one thing that's way more easier, and that's selecting an in and out point for your B-roll. So right here I start with the pen, and I'll just scrub forward. Right here I end. So the in and out point is I for in, and O for out. So I'll press O. These two icons are video only or audio only. And usually my B-roll doesn't have audio, so I'll just drag it without the... I always try to hide my cuts with the B-roll. So I try to set it overcut like this. And if you can't, I try to set it as close to a cut as possible. So you got your B-roll on the timeline. Let's label it to something else. I already got these presets and I'll just press B-roll. And it's like the color cerulean or however it's called in Premiere Pro. I just called it B-roll. So talk about that and try experimenting. Maybe let your B-roll play out a little bit with sound. And that's like a way to let your viewers breathe and just take in what they've just watched. Editing doesn't always have to be linear, like A-roll, B-roll, and something else. You can just mix them together. So you have your A-roll, your B-roll, you like how your story is going. Now it's time for the next step, and that's adding your music. I get all my songs from Artlist, and right there you have a really nice search engine with like everything you need, and I always find the perfect song. Like, it doesn't even take a lot of time nowadays to find a song on that. Couple things that you can add are logo, animations, pictures, or what I like to do from time to time is add some text. So in Premiere Pro on your keyboard press T. You can just press somewhere on your screen and that's where the text will show up. Right here you have your font. I like Helvetica Medium Extended. That's a thing I always use for my videos. Underneath that you can edit the size of your text. And right here are some appearance things with fill, and these are for animations. Okay, so I got B-roll and text everywhere. I'm seeing now that my music is way too short. So how can we fix that in Premiere Pro? Well, go to the left side right here and go to the Ripple Edit tool. Long press it and then you get this menu. Right here you have the remix tool. Click on it, go to your music and you can just slide it out. Then you gotta wait a couple minutes or hours depending on your PC. And once it's done, Premiere Pro essentially just uses, I don't know, like kind of AI to make your music longer. So right here you can see the cuts and this is what the music sounds like. If you just have like some point you can talk about, you can already come a really... And that was the cut, like I didn't even notice it. And as you can see, it ends just like right on time. So this is the point where you watch your edit over and over again. So what you actually need to do is look at your edit from a point that you're watching the video. Like, don't try to look at your timeline at all. It will just keep you away from the video and you'll see things coming that you can't see in the video itself. So what you can do is double press it and it will become bigger. And I'll recommend reviewing your video this way, because if you're looking at your timeline, you'll just spoil the video for yourself. And to be honest, I think when editing and reviewing your video, you want to see if the surprise effect is there and like everything you want your viewers to feel, if you feel that too with watching your video. And you can't achieve that when your timeline is literally next to you spoiling everything. And every time you feel just a glimpse of boredom, or you're just looking away, or every time you feel a part of your video is way too long, just go back, cut it till it's like perfection, till you're really satisfied with the results. And I want to share a bit more value with you before we go to editing, and that's how can you make your video more engaging. The first 15 seconds of your video have to be really good, otherwise people will just click away and there goes your retention. So usually you want to fill your 15 seconds like with a lot of B-roll. For me, I already filled this with a lot of value. I have like an intro of 5 seconds and then I already start with giving value out to people. So that's my way to keep them engaged. So I always start all my videos with like a slow zoom in effect. And that's like to welcome the viewer to the video. After that it goes to 100%, it goes to 110, 100, 110, 100, 110, 100, and it just keeps going. Your whole video is done. Let's go to rendering. So the simple way to do this is Ctrl M. Right here is your file name. Give it like a good name that you'll recognize and that you can search up easily. For me, this preset is always on in the format H.264, but I also always make some changes in video tab. So frame size, you need to check that if that's right. Frame rate, same thing. Field order for me is progressive. render at maximum depth, which will take a bit longer, but you'll get the quality out of it. Hardware encoding, I would recommend that if you have like a dedicated GPU in your PC. So right here, the target bitrate. For me, I just do this 20 and 40 depending on the video. And that will make all my video sizes like around 1 GB for 4 to 5 minutes. I don't do much in audio. So you have everything set. It's time to click export. And now you just have to wait and your video is done.